Hello, everyone. I am here on the Golden Guardians Move-In Day talking to the coach of Golden Guardians, Locodoco himself. Locodoco, it's been a bit since you've been in the LCS, but here you are returning with a new team. So first off, how did this happen? How did you end up working with Golden Guardians?
So I interviewed with a lot of teams for head coach position. I actually think I could have been head coach for a lot of teams, but when Warriors came by, they were my by far number one choice. So I just jumped right on the train and I all in on it.
Why were they your number one choice?
So Warriors as a brand, outside of League of Legends, I mean they just started existing in League of Legends. The NBA team is, they're the best, and they're not money kind of best. They're the best in a way, like they're very smart and they're very methodical, and everything they do is carefully planned out and structured. So they're not first by chance, but by a lot of well thought out, organized plans, strong values. Just anything. It's just a very well run organization. So I always looked up to them, even though personally I'm a Lakers fan. They're more flashy, but Warriors is just more buttoned up and more professional. So it's a team I've always looked up to. And when I started interviewing with them and I realized how involved Kirk was going to be and how much of their values and how um, much they want to incorporate that into the League of Legends team, I thought, wow, this is a place where I could learn so much from and I could grow so much under. And for some of the other teams, I didn't feel that way. But for this team, I feel like I'll learn so much working under people that are extremely smart and extremely successful.
And as the roster has started to kind of leak out there and people have started to speculate on it, I do think that we have seen some skepticism and some doubt. This is the only team that doesn't have an imported player on it. And certainly there are some players here that people feel have underperformed in the past. I don't know how much of a hand you had in building the roster, but maybe first off, we can talk a little bit about your involvement in building it and also what you think of the final product here.
Um, we had a very strong belief in terms of growing young NA talent and investing into them. When you think teams like C9, TSM, or even the old Immortals roster, why they're so strong isn't because of their imports, but it's because of the very strong core NA players. So Bjergsen, which is like a cheat, but he is a core NA player for TSM. Haunter, Double Lift for C9, Sneaky, Smoothie. All these core NA players are what brings those to the top level, like Pobelter, Xmithy. And they're not up for purchase. I mean, Double Lift and Pobelter were, but their price is astronomical.
Sure.
And so if you don't have access to them, then we have to find the next great NA talent, right?
Yeah.
And ones that are obvious get scooped up very fast. So we wanted to find like players that we thought had the right kind of mindset, right kind of mentality, were very eager to learn, and would be great players in the future. So for example, let's take like a basketball player, right?
Yeah.
It takes, 14, 15 years from like holding a basketball when you're like, 3 or 4, and then being trained for 14 years to become drafted and play in NBA, right? For most of League of Legends pros, it takes about a year or 2 years from touching keyboard and mouse to becoming a professional player. So if you can train players the right way and we can grow them and have a culture and have a system and have a methodology, then we can very easily catch up to teams like C9, TSM in the future. So that's what we were really looking at: players with the right mindset, right kind of mentality, and of course right kind of talent. Yeah. We can't take you, for example. Yeah. Even if I know you have a great mindset, but I don't think I could make you into an LCS player. But
Well, especially because I've got a great position at Travis Gafford Esports right now. I'm not looking for anything, but I appreciate that. Yeah.
We tried.
Yes. But okay, then so you've got the obvious guys there that kind of fit within that philosophy, and then you've got Hai, who's been around for a long time. I assumed when I saw that it was kind of like plugging him in as like a mentor, but maybe you can talk a little bit more specifically about his role on the team.
Sure. So mid is a position you can't compromise on. It just controls so much of the game, and it's an extremely difficult position to play also. You're required to play a lot of different kinds of champion, not just a lot of champions, different kinds of champions, like mages, assassins, sometimes even tanks. Sometimes very roam heavy, sometimes very team fight heavy. and you can get ganked from both angles. You have to control vision from both angles. You have a lot of decision making. There's so much permutation in terms of what can happen in mid. So it's a very mechanically intense role that's also very experience heavy. And you also shot call a lot as a mid laner. So it was a role that, one role that I told Hunter and Kirk that we can't compromise on having a rookie on. But we also wanted a veteran, and we also, in a way, kind of wanted an NA player, because once rosters were getting picked up, we realized we will probably do no import or one import in mid. And Hai actually checks all those boxes. He's very experienced, great shot caller, and whichever import or whichever veteran we picked up, we knew was going to be a role model, not just for in-game, not just for practice, but how they carry themselves and what kind of person they are. And Hai is someone that's been a very hardworking player, that's been very responsible player, that's been a very good leader, a very good mentor. So he was, during the roster process, we said we're looking for a Hai-like player.
Yeah.
We never actually thought we'd end up with Hai, but that was like that was our veteran description, a player like Hai.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. So other than that, it is the move-in day. Are you going to be living in the house?
So, in the past, I haven't been the most professional person, and when I was younger, I thought to myself, like, I don't want to be that professional. Like, I just want to be a great strategic coach. But as I gotten older, and as coaching is something I've invested more of my livelihood and my time into, it's something I want to be the best at, and it's something I really want to do a great job at. And I've been trying to keep a more professional image. I've been trying to be more professional in my life also, and I think a big step towards that is moving away from just living with the team and being more of a coach and being more of a authority figure, and also just being more of an adult and growing up, paying your own bills, paying for your own internet, paying for your own gas, paying for your own rent. And I think, that's one of the reasons I didn't want to live with the team. And I had some rules for coaching staff that is kind of like weird for esports. So you've been in esports for a while. Everyone hangs out with everyone. Yeah. So something I'm trying to move away from is really have my core friend group, just be my core friend group, and move away from the esport parties, esport hangouts, and being more of a coach. It's not that easy. I will admit it's really, really difficult because there are so many mutual friends and there are so many mutual circles within players and coaches. Luckily on this team, I don't have a lot of mutual friend circles, so it's a lot easier. But none of the coaching staff is living in the house. We'll probably have one house manager in the house to make sure everyone is well taken care of, the house doesn't burn down, people are going to sleep on time. But so I'm not living at the house.
I mean, all that I think is a very interesting kind of way to broach the final topic I want to bring up, which is I think a lot of people had a lot of criticism of you following Breaking Point and sort of your coaching situation. You went to Challenger for a while, but now you're back in the LCS. What would you say to the fans that doubt your ability to coach effectively, or just saw Breaking Point and walked away with a negative impression of you?
Sure. I mean, I'll give you guys some hard facts. So when I was on Team Liquid coaching, we were a very, very bootstrapped team. We didn't have investment, and we didn't have the greatest of players. We had some very talented players, but they were very raw, and we weren't a team that was spending a lot to get the best imports or the best NA players. We were growing players, so I didn't have a lot of tools. And we still never made playoffs. We were never close to relegations. And TL, after the huge amount of investment, can't even get close to playoffs, and they're in relegation twice. Sure. And with 1/10 of the resource, we were one game away from getting promoted when I was in Challenger. And to touch on Breaking Point, I want to say this. So there's 24 hours in a day. Let's say we sleep for 8 hours of those, and then 2 hours is just film time. So you get filmed for 14 hours, and then 14 hours over the course of a year, and then it gets shortened into an hour. How long was Breaking Point?
An hour and a half, 2 hours.
So hour and a half of documentary. Yeah. And Breaking Point isn't it's not a piece to inform. It doesn't just want to tell you the most unbiased point of view story. It was to tell a certain kind of story that TL wanted to tell. And I mean, TL wanted to move Dardoch to a different team or to start him, right? So they're gonna want to portray him in the best light possible. For me at that point, it was clear that we were going separate ways. And also another thing is, you can't charge a buyout for a coach, but you can charge a buyout for a player. So there's a lot of factors going into it that want to portray Dardoch in the best way possible and portray me in the worst way possible. Personally, I thought Breaking Point was a very, very unfair point of view in how I was portrayed. And also, it's just while an hour 30 might seem like a long time, to condense the entire year into hour 30 and to condense all the bad moments that happened, if you combine them into an hour 30, it would look like a pretty bad story for anyone involved. So, I mean, that's just what I want to say. Like, the pure factor there, with such little resource, both on my time as TL head coach and Challenger head coach, I feel like I performed better than TL, and I just cannot imagine why I'd be getting the blame. Was I irresponsible sometimes? Was I immature sometimes? Definitely. But, I mean, just look at the facts in terms of placing, in terms of, like, the resources involved. I mean, it's not to shit talk anyone that was involved, or it's not even to shit talk Josh. I think Josh is a great player with like very strong upsides and very strong downsides. It's just I felt like I was portrayed very, very unfairly in terms of a subjective point of view in the results, and also a very just like honest point of view from my opinion. Yeah.
All right. Well, here, I think kind of going off of that and kind of wrapping up the interview, you have a chance to talk directly to the fans out there that are curious about you joining Golden Guardians, what you're hoping to accomplish, and sort of how you're looking to sort of portray yourself here. Is there anything you would say to them here at the end of the interview?
Honestly, I do want to gather fans, and I do want to be likable, and I'm going to try my best to do my own personal content and be best on camera. But what's really important for me is how I hold myself and how I view myself and how my higher ups view me and how the players under me and the coaches under me view me. That's just way more important than anything fans might think. I do want to appeal to the fans. I do want to be a good face and a good voice and a good brand, but that's not going to be my primary focus. My primary focus is making sure Golden Guardians does as well as possible. In my entire career as a player and as a coach, I've never missed playoffs. So that's going to be our first big goal. I think a lot of public and even some people on teams and the casters, if you watch the dive, they pinned us as to be the 10th place team. I don't feel that way at all. I have the utmost belief in all the players involved, all the hard work they're going to put in and their mentality. And I also trust Hai a lot. So when I was coaching TSM, like Hai was such a thorn on our side. And then after like he wasn't mid anymore, and then like he's going jungle and support, and this guy's like still putting up results, and he goes to FlyQuest and like he's putting up results. Like I cannot fathom how the community like downgrades us and like downrates us so much. Like a team is so much more than a combination of all the mechanical talents added up. There's personalities that goes into it. There's how the team is run, the synergy, how fast they can get through conflicts, how adaptable to the meta they are. Like so much things involved, but I think Reddit and the general public views as you add talent between the 5 players and that's how well the team is going to do, which is completely not true. Like, so I'm pretty frustrated at the general point of view looking into our team, but I'm also very, very excited to just put our nose down and grind and work hard as a team and put up results.
Very, very good. Well, great answer. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can pull off. I do think that your story will be a unique one next year, specifically Golden Guardian's story without imports, so I think it's going to be really good. Thank you so much for the interview. And for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And go to patreon.com/ what is it?
Travis Gafford.
Travis Gafford, and support Travis. It's very important to support content creators in our space.